The whispers coming out of the studio this week are absolutely explosive. If you thought you knew why Jason Morgan suddenly decided to wash his hands of the mob life, you are going to want to sit down for this. Word on the street is that the writers are cooking up a storyline so massive, it is going to shake the Corinthos empire to its very foundation. We are talking about a secret so deep, it makes everything else look like child's play. The rumors suggest that a certain newly arrived corporate executive is carrying a genetic bombshell that will rewrite decades of history. If these leaks are true, the landscape of our favorite show is about to be unrecognizable. If you ask me, we need to take a long, hard look at Jason Morgan's miraculous return to Port Charles. For decades, Jason has been the stoic, unshakable enforcer of the Corinthos organization. His loyalty to Sonny Corinthos has always been the defining trait of his character, a bond forged in blood and survival. Yet, upon his return from his traumatic captivity with the WSB, Jason shocked everyone by officially declaring that he was leaving the mob. His stated reason? He wants to focus on his son, Danny Morgan, and protect him from the endless violence. Now, while that is a noble and beautiful sentiment, does it truly explain a complete and sudden departure from the only life he has ever known? Jason has always found a way to balance his dangerous career with his love for his children. I suspect there is a much deeper, far more strategic reason for his exit, and it revolves entirely around the mysterious new arrival, Hudson. Let us talk about Hudson for a moment. He arrived in Port Charles out of nowhere, presenting himself as a brilliant, cold, and calculated corporate executive. He has an undeniable aura of power, a man who commands the room the second he steps into it. But who is he really? My theory is that Hudson is not just some random businessman looking to make a deal. I believe that during Jason's time away from Port Charles, while he was navigating the shadows of the globe, he stumbled upon a secret that even Sonny does not know. I suspect that Jason discovered Hudson's true identity, and the truth is nothing short of earth-shattering. Hudson is the biological son of Sonny Corinthos. Think about Sonny's vast and complicated romantic history. Over the years, there have been countless women who have passed through his life, some who stayed, and many who fled to escape the dangerous reality of his world. It is highly plausible that decades ago one of these women became pregnant after a passionate, fleeting romance with a mob boss. Fearing for her child's safety and desperate to avoid the dark shadow of the Corinthos syndicate, she chose to raise Hudson entirely on her own, taking the secret of his paternity to her grave. But secrets like that never stay buried forever. Jason, with his unparalleled investigative instincts, likely uncovered old documents, birth records, or financial trails that led him straight to Hudson. When Jason finally tracked Hudson down, what he saw must have stopped him in his tracks. Hudson does not just share Sonny's striking, handsome features or his intense, piercing stare. He possesses the exact same ruthless business acumen and natural leadership that built the Corinthos Empire. Hudson is decisive, fiercely intelligent, and completely unafraid of conflict. Jason, who has spent his entire adult life protecting Sonny's legacy, likely realized in that very moment that he was looking at the perfect successor. For years, Jason has carried the heavy burden of being Sonny's right hand, knowing that Michael wants no part of the underworld and Dante is sworn to the law. Hudson is the missing puzzle piece, the heir apparent who has the brains for legitimate corporate warfare and the cold blood required for the mob. This is where Jason's brilliant, yet incredibly risky, hidden agenda comes into play. Why wouldn't Jason just march into Sonny's office and tell him he has another son? Because we all know Sonny Corinthos. Sonny is volatile, deeply emotional, and currently drowning in a sea of chaos involving Jens, Sidwell, ADA, Justine Turner, and Ava Jerome. If Jason dropped a DNA bomb on Sonny right now, Sonny would either reject Hudson out of paranoia or completely smother him with expectations, ruining any chance of a natural transition. Instead, Jason is executing a masterful manipulative scheme. He brought Hudson to Port Charles secretly, allowing the young executive to establish himself as a formidable force in the business world. Jason wants Sonny to cross paths with Hudson naturally, to see the young man's talent, ruthlessness, and loyalty firsthand. He wants Sonny to respect Hudson as a man before he ever loves him as a son. But every great scheme has a flaw, and this is where the domino effect truly begins. Let us look at the sudden, panicked departure of Ethan Lovett. Ethan is a grifter, a man who has spent his life navigating the underbelly of society, collecting secrets, and leveraging them for his own survival. When Hudson arrived in Port Charles, Ethan practically tripped over himself trying to flee the city. Why? The official story might be some corporate dispute, but if you ask me, Ethan knows exactly who Hudson is. Ethan likely crossed paths with Hudson's mother years ago, or perhaps he uncovered the truth during one of his many shady cons. Ethan knows that Hudson is a Corinthos. When Ethan saw Hudson walking the streets of Port Charles, he immediately realized that a massive explosion was imminent. Ethan is smart enough to know that you do not want to be anywhere near sunny Corinthos when a secret of this magnitude blows up. He recognized that Jason was orchestrating a massive shift in power, and he wanted absolutely no part of the crossfire. Ethan's hasty exit was the first domino falling, a desperate attempt to escape the vicious cycle of mob violence that inevitably follows the Corinthos family wherever they go. By running away, Ethan inadvertently confirmed to anyone paying attention that Hudson is far more dangerous than he appears. Now, imagine the catastrophic domino effect this will have on the rest of this iconic legacy family. What happens when Michael Corinthos, who has spent his entire life wrestling with his father's dark shadow, suddenly realizes he has an older, perhaps more capable brother? Michael has always held a sense of entitlement regarding the family's legitimate businesses. If Hudson steps in and begins taking over, the sibling rivalry will be absolutely explosive. And what about Christina and Dante? The introduction of a new, powerful sibling who is actively being groomed to take over the criminal empire will fracture the family dynamics beyond repair. The Corinthos table will become a battlefield of jealousy, suspicion, and betrayal. Furthermore, we have to consider how Sonny will react when he finally discovers that Jason, his most trusted friend, his brother-in-arms, has been lying to his face for months. Sonny values loyalty above all else. Even if Jason's intentions were pure, even if he was trying to secure the future of the Empire, Sonny will view this secrecy as the ultimate betrayal. This could push Sonny into a dark, paranoid spiral. Feeling entirely isolated, Sonny might seek out an unholy alliance with someone like Ava Jerome or even Rick Lansing, just to prove that he is still in control and does not need Jason orchestrating his life. The very plan Jason designed to save the Empire might be the exact thing that tears it apart. The climax of this incredible storyline is practically writing itself. Picture the scene, ladies. The tension has been building for months. Hudson has proven himself invaluable to Sonny, saving the organization from a massive threat, perhaps even outsmarting Jen Sidwell. Sonny is ready to bring Hudson into the inner circle, completely unaware of the blood tie. And then, the truth leaks. Maybe Ava Jerome gets her hands on a secret DNA test, or perhaps Ethan Lovett is dragged back to Port Charles and forced to confess what he knows. The medical records are thrown onto Sonny's desk. The realization washes over him, followed immediately by the devastating knowledge that Jason knew all along. The confrontation in Sonny's office will be legendary. Jason, standing tall and stoic, finally admitting that he orchestrated the entire thing so he could step down, knowing the Empire was in the hands of true Corinthos blood. Hudson, caught in the middle, realizing that his entire journey to Port Charles was manipulated by the Enforcer. This is the moment that will redefine General Hospital for the next decade. Will Hudson embrace his dark legacy and take his rightful place at the head of the table? Will Sonny forgive Jason for playing God with his family? If my theory holds true, Jason Morgan is about to successfully execute the greatest exit strategy in the history of the mob, handing the reins over to a son who is more like Sonny than anyone could have ever imagined. The pieces are all on the board, the players are moving into position, and the ticking time bomb of Hudson's true paternity is counting down to zero. We are about to witness the birth of a new mob king, but at what cost to the people who built the throne? Will this massive revelation finally bring peace to Jason Morgan, or will it ignite a family war that burns the Corinthos Empire to the ground?